Our episode starts with a guy running through a war zone. It turns out to be a dream from a guy named Johnny who's concerned that he's having Vietnam flashbacks when he's never been to Vietnam. His buddy wakes him up and we see that they're on a camping trip, lost and waiting for a guide. They assume the guide is going to be a guy, but are pleasantly surprised to find that it's an attractive woman instead, who makes a quip about them needing to follow her if they want to sleep with her. They eventually find a place to set up camp, and the guide, whose name is Tracker, sends Todd and Jake off to start a fire, while she and Johnny go to pitch a tent. Well, at least that seems to be the plan until she sees tent stakes and freaks out, telling Johnny that she has a fear of stakes because her husband was killed by one, which probably makes camping guide not a very good career choice. While all this is going on, Jake somehow hits his thumb with a hammer, causing it to bleed. When Johnny suggests getting an antiseptic, Tracker will have none of that because the best antiseptic, according to her, is saliva, and she begins sucking his hand. That night, the guys sleeping in the same tent talk about what happened earlier. Todd says he's going to make landing Tracker his goal. Jake freaks out when he hears bats. The next day, Johnny starts questioning Tracker with a line of questioning that clearly insinuates that he believes she's a vampire. When he realizes how dumb he sounds, he walks away, just for us to see Tracker flash her fangs to the camera.
There were the steaks and bats last night, and you slept outside. One thought led to another, and...
I'll get you some food.
Yeah, thanks.
She then force feeds him some worms, and that's when we see that he's having another nightmare. He runs out of the tent where Tracker comes and checks on him. She's very touchy-feely until she sees his cross, resulting in her changing her tune and walking off. The next day, Johnny purposely plays with his cross to get a reaction. Tracker, purposely trying to avoid him, gets very close to Todd, including having him go into the tent where she strips and has him put sunblock on her. Jake comments on the brand and the unrealistically high SPF number of the sunblock. She then leaves him high and dry, mentioning his comment from the night before with the guys. She eventually heads off with Jake instead, which upsets Todd, who states he feels used. Later on, Johnny has another vampire dream featuring Tracker feeding on Jake, then going after him. He is woken up by Tracker, who informs him that Jake is gone and she can't find him.
Wait, Johnny, it's only me.
Later in the tent, Johnny admits to Todd his belief that she's a vampire. Todd convinces him that she couldn't be a vampire as vampires can be out during the day, but not informing Johnny of the sunblock from earlier. Eventually, Johnny goes and follows Tracker just to see that she has Jake tied up, and she approaches him, fangs out, sounding like a mountain lion. He trips over something, trying to leave, allowing Tracker to realize he's there.
Don't try to run, Johnny.
When Johnny runs back to the campsite, he finds that Todd is now missing as well. He ends up seeing that she has him tied up the same way and also feeding on him. He makes his presence known and Tracker proceeds to pounce on him. Johnny tells her to hurry up and kill him, and she tells him that she has different plans for him and wants him for sex instead. Johnny instead goes into full-on sarcasm mode, but eventually agrees. She then tells him to drink Todd's blood, which was a trick to instead get close enough to him to set him free while holding her back with a cross.
Drink his blood.
What?
It's the beginning of your journey.
Guess I'm an old-fashioned romantic at heart.
Their escape is cut short, though, when they fall down a hill. This time when he's woken up by Tracker, we find that the whole previous situation was his dream, and in reality, he and Tracker are the only survivors of a plane crash, and they've been eating the other passengers, raw apparently, to survive. The episode from here goes kind of off the rails. Johnny continues to have weird dreams, but eventually they hear on the radio that the search party looking for them is called off. This leads to Tracker, whose name we now know is Ginger, and Johnny having sex. But after sex, Johnny explains that his fiancée will never stop looking for him, but he really doesn't want to go back to her. We then meet his fiancée, Mary Beth, who is very snotty and treating her field guide like trash while admitting that the real reason she's looking for him is he's rich and she doesn't want to wait the 7 years to collect the life insurance on him. Eventually they find Johnny and Tracker, but when the field guide goes through their gear, he finds that Mary Beth took all the gear out and replaced it with hair products. He leaves them behind to go find help, leaving Mary Beth with Tracker and Johnny. Mary Beth says that she's going to help them, resulting in her falling into the canyon as well and then freaking out after seeing the dead bodies. On top of all this, there is apparently a wanted criminal wandering in the woods as well. After a bunch of very odd cannibal dream sequences, the episode ends with the murderer falling into the canyon. Just before this, Johnny, Mary Beth, and Ginger were arguing about who was the next to be eaten, and this became a very convenient end. They're eventually rescued, but not until they've already eaten the criminal and now seemingly have a taste for human meat. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon where you can get access to content early as well as see the content that can't be uploaded here on YouTube. Link will be in the description. Until next time.